All right. It is Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and I want to tell everybody thank you guys for being on here. Thank you, as always, for sharing your Tuesday with us, because I know many of you are on here from the East Coast, and it's later there than it is here. So thanks, as always, for jumping on here. I'm going to hit the mute all, and there we go. We've got two special guests on the call tonight, so I'll be pretty short with the introduction here. And then I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie Beebe, who is going to introduce the guys that are on the showcase to talk to us a little bit about something that you guys hear me talk about a lot. So it's that crazy C word that they talk about a lot. So, but it's the good one. So we're looking forward to hearing what they have to say and sharing that information. But like I was saying, if you are not aware, Isagenix is coming out with a new bar, and that new bar is going to get announced on Thursday. Some of us have had a chance to try it. I will tell you that it is really tasty, and you will definitely enjoy it, especially if you like the texture of the s'mores bar. If you've tried the s'mores bar and you liked it, then you'll really like this one because it has that same texture to it. The other thing that I wanted to make sure everybody knows is ISA delivery app opportunity will be wrapping up here at the end of the month. So if you're not using the ISA delivery system, please look into using that, because that makes your delivery free for the next 6 months. And that's definitely something that you should be looking at using if you're not currently using that already. So I really encourage you guys to get in on that. And then the last thing before I turn over to Stephanie, please, and I'll say this again at the end of this, at the end of the call, is if you know anyone in the Wisconsin area, the location is just about an hour north of Chicago. It's in Racine, Wisconsin, and the team is putting on a Super Saturday there on November the 3rd. It is in a really cool spot. It's generally they use it to host kind of intimate musical events, so it's got a really cool vibe looking to it. And Heidi and the whole crew there in in Wisconsin are putting that together. Lankowski's are involved in it, and Heidi's involved in it. Beth Gilmore is doing a bunch of stuff with it, so it's going to be a really good thing. And I really encourage you guys to, if you know someone in that area, to send them, because it will be really well supported, and we got good stuff going on there. There's a rumor that there might be another one getting fired up in Michigan, but I won't post that out there just yet. But I hear that there's rumor going on that might happen in Michigan as well. So with that, Stephanie, it is all yours.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Brent. I am so excited to introduce these speakers to you tonight. They have just gone through some life-changing experiences that they're wanting to share with the world right now. And like Brent said, it's something that we talk about all the time. And whether it's in health or your fitness, your business, your life, relationship, I think it's something that we can use all of this information on a regular basis. So without any more time, I really want to introduce these speakers to you. I'm going to start with George Campbell, who I recently have had the pleasure of getting to know. And George is a comedian. He's a stand-up comedian. And so be prepared to laugh tonight as he goes through our session. But he has a background that just looks so impressive. And if you didn't know him any better, you would believe that. But he is an inductee of the National Speakers Association for Speakers Hall of Fame. He has been interviewed on 60 Minutes and been featured in a front page story by the Los Angeles Times. With all that being said, George has been challenged by inconsistency his entire life. So his desire to overcome that is a reason why this has all come to be, why the consistency chain came into being, and why he and Jim have come together to write their book and to now explain this to so many people who have probably felt the same way of feeling, why am I not able to succeed the same way as someone else who has exact same tools, exact same information, and the same motivation? So I really appreciate you, George, and bringing this to the table, because it is mind-blowing and something that we really truly need to understand and bring together. And so with that, Jim Packer, Jim and I have known each other for, I think we figured out about 15 years or so. And
you were in high school.
right? I truly respect him in the industry. He's been in network marketing for a very long time. And he's one of those guys that whatever he shares with you, you're going to stop and listen and try to replicate exactly what he does, which hence the 80-20 rule that they're going to be talking about. But we all know this kid. He's the kid in grade school who won the contest. He's the sales rep who won the incentive trips. He's the distributor who won that award or this award. That's Jim, right? He started with his own business with $500 investment, and he grew it to $17 million before selling it to a Fortune 500 company, and he retired at the age of 49. He is an inventor, and his products have been featured on QVC. Jim himself was on QVC over 25 times. He was named Distributor of the Year in 2 network marketing companies. And with all that being said, Jim never realized that what came natural to him was foreign to a lot of his employees and his downline. And it wasn't until he and George met that he began to realize people are just wired differently.
That's it. I think we're done.
Right? Exactly. So can you guys start this off and kind of tell me a little bit, why did you guys have such a different success and experience?
Well, I mean, for me, I did the credits that you named were real, and that happened, but they all came from basically one surge of activity. And I coasted on that momentum for literally 15 years. So it's possible for somebody who is inconsistent to leap across that gap for a period of time. It was just difficult for me to stay there. The biggest difference in Jim and I is our network marketing experience. Because I mean, if you met us, you're going to like Jim better because everybody does. But and we look like 2 guys that you would want to sponsor, and you would be 50% right. Because Jim, if he gets excited and interested, is going to be an unbelievable success. And I proved time and time again, I'm the person that you want to avoid with all your capacity, because I'm the guy that looks like I can do this and sounds like I can do this, and there's absolutely no reason for me not to be able to do this. And yet, for some reason, you're going to spend all this time and effort with me, and for some reason, you're not going to figure out how to help me be successful. And I know this because I was in a number of different network marketing companies at different times, and I had absolutely everything. I had a prospect list of over 2,500 names of people that would take my call, that would talk to me, and despite all that, I wasn't successful. And Jim was successful in every single one of these that he's ever worked in.
I'd like to say a couple words, but before I do, let me put a hat on because everybody else has a hat on. Can you see that? What's that, a B on the top of that hat, George?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Anybody know how the Red Sox made out today?
I do not, actually.
No.
I'm going to say they won, just going by the hat.
Okay, fair enough. Good enough. Yeah, they did. They just won 8-2. George and I met a few years ago, Stephanie. Actually, we were having one of our team get-togethers, and George came in. We hired George to come in and speak to our group, and he was up front of the room. And typically I don't laugh at comedians, but for some reason we just hit it off. And I remember going up to George afterwards and saying, George, if you ever need a straight man on stage, I'm pretty much retired. Maybe you and I could work together. And I just say, be careful what you ask for, because here it is 10 years later. I mean, we obviously stayed in touch. We're working together. And I always wondered, I look at somebody like George, who's extremely successful in so many different things. And I didn't sponsor him in the last company that I was involved in.
That's why we're still friends.
What's that?
That's why we're still friends.
That's right. And I always wondered, why doesn't somebody like George just knock it out of the ballpark? Because, I mean, like he said, he had a database bigger than most of us, and he certainly had stage presence and everything else. And it was only when we started really digging into it, and he said, well, we're wired differently, Jim. We're just not this, we don't see things the same way. And it really, was like a light bulb going off in my head when he told me that. And he said, let me tell you how I'm wired. And we got talking about that. And that's what led to us writing the consistency chain, which is based on the 80-20 principle, obviously.
Right. Well, and the really what we've done is we've just kind of, we took kind of 3 data points that were out there and we connected them. And when it did, it was like a revelation to us. And the first thing was the 80-20 thing. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Pareto principle that says 80% of the results are going to come from 20% of the input. And I had heard that for years. And a couple of years ago, it just bugged me because I had a client that at one time called me to speak, and they said, we have a company that's a sales company, and 80% of our sales come from 20% of our salespeople. 20% of our sales come from 80% of our salespeople. What can you do to help us? And I'm like, I got nothing. I have absolutely no idea, but I never forgot the conversation. And so when I started a couple of years ago researching this, it was just absolutely fascinating to me. For one thing, how pervasive it is. It's across all industries, it's across all different lives. And the more I read 5 or 6 books on this. And the thing that got me was all the books were basically written from the top down, a top-down view, more from a company standpoint. How can we get those 20% performers that are going to bring in 80% results? How can we get those 20% customers that are going to bring 80% of our revenue? And because of what I felt in my heart, I knew that isn't the way I wanted to approach it. I wanted to look at it from the bottom up. And that is to basically say, what is the deal with 80% of the population that we underperform our potential? Because the reason why that resonated with me is because I knew that's the group I was in. I was in the underperforming 80%. And all you had to look at all of my history in network marketing to tell that was absolutely where I was at. So what we did is we eliminated all the things that both groups have in common. If you, education, intelligence, training, that's all the same. And even ambition is the same. And so when you eliminate all the things that are in common, then it comes down to just one absolutely deciding factor. And that is this: the 20% do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, on a relentlessly consistent basis. And the 80% know what needs to be done, but they don't do it consistently. This was the dividing line when we talk about Jim's experience in network marketing and my experience. It was just this: Jim was relentlessly consistent. And you can see the difference. I mean, in your own story, Jim, what consistency has done with you in network marketing and how you've seen this play out in network marketing.
Yeah, you know, Stephanie, when I grew a couple of different organizations, and Brent, you can relate to this just as easily. You know, you go out and you sponsor 10 people, and typically, you know, 2 of the 10 people, you know, become what we would call, you know, superstars and can make a decent living, and you know, I guess I've heard all kinds of terms. You know, you're looking for the aces in the deck, and you know, and I was just a good recruiter, like most of the people that are on this call tonight. And my philosophy, well, we just keep finding people, and hopefully that, you know, we'll turn up those 4 aces out of the deck. And I used to try to motivate my entire team with the same systems that I was utilizing. And I mean, I had charts and graphs and, you know, algorithms, and you name it, I had it and I was working it. And I would always wonder why, you know, I provided all this information to somebody in my organization and they just couldn't do what I was doing. And I just kind of chalked it up to, well, maybe they didn't have a big enough why, or maybe they're motivated or didn't spend enough time or whatever it might be. And that's when George said, it had nothing to do with that, Jim. It deals how how my brain is wired. And if I only knew back then what I know today, I certainly wouldn't try to put every, you know, square peg in a round hole. That's for sure. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Finish. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to jump in because we keep saying over and over again, you know, the way we're wired. And I think people may think we're talking metaphorically, but it's not. I mean, that was the revelation to me. That was the second data point that came into play. There was a study done at Stanford in the late 1960s, early 1970s, and they took 300 5-year-olds. And some of you may have heard about this. It's called the marshmallow test, and it's kind of famous. And they took the kids into the room one at a time, and they set them at a table, and the researcher put a marshmallow in front of them and said, listen, you're free to eat the marshmallow. However, I'm going to leave, and when I come back, if you haven't eaten the marshmallow, I'm going to give you a second marshmallow. The fascinating thing is the number of kids that ate the marshmallow. And I know we've got a bunch of people on the call. Anybody want to guess? Anybody?
80-20.
80%. It's always 80-20. It's shocking. So 80% of the kids ate the marshmallow. 20% of the kids did not eat the marshmallow. And if that had been the end of the study, it's just kind of an interesting little thing, and it's kind of cute, but it wasn't, because they realized 15 years down the road, or 12, 15 years down the road, they had all the contact information. They could do follow-ups and see if there's any difference in the life experiences of the kids that did or did not eat the marshmallow. And what they found at age 17, the kids that did not eat the marshmallow had higher GPAs, they had higher test scores for college, and they were judged to be more socially advanced. They did another follow-up study at midlife, and they found that the people that did not eat the marshmallow earned more money, had more educational attainment, and according to body mass index, they were actually healthier. And then they finally, and this is where it gets really interesting. Now we hit the 2000s, they do the final study. And now medical imaging technology has come so far. Now we can do real-time, non-invasive views into a brain. And what they found is they brought these people back now in their late 50s, early 60s. And a technician could look at the brain activity in 2 areas of the brain and tell you with 100% certainty whether or not that test subject did or did not eat the marshmallow 50 years prior. Now think about that for a second, because this has got to be, if you're like me and if you're in the 80%, this is the most terrifying thing I had ever seen. Because what it tells me is that by age 5, and probably before then, I am pre-wired for instant gratification in a world where delayed gratification is what it takes to get to all the good stuff. This was absolutely terrifying to me. And so then there's happy stories here coming up, but with that information, then it basically, it came down to 3 different options if you're faced with this. And the first option is, well, I learned to delay gratification. And I read like 5 books on this, and there was nothing that they said that made any sense to me. There was nothing that they said that made me think. Basically, to delay, their concept for you to delay gratification was to delay gratification. I'm like, okay, that's why I'm reading the book, is because I can't do that. So that was option 1, delay gratification, learn to do that, and I couldn't do it. The second option, this is the one that most people in network marketing sadly take. And that's, I'm just going to quit. This isn't for me. It looked really good in the beginning, but I can't do this. I'm out. And the third option, this is what we've come up with, and this is what we're really excited about, because this absolutely works. This works in my life. It worked in Jim's life. It worked in the lives of people that we're working with. And that is this: if we cannot delay gratification, if we're not good at that, and that's the key, then what we have to find is we have to find a technique or a plan or a strategy whereby we can take our insatiable desire for instant gratification and put it in service of long-term goals. And this is the attainable way for people like me that are wired for instant gratification. This is how I can get to where I want to go. It's going to be a different path than Jim's path, but it's absolutely a workable path for us.
Yeah, and it's interesting. First of all, whoever rank maker is, I love your comments, by the way. I'm sitting here laughing at them, but it's even as a 20%er. I mean, I've been a 20%er in running a business and developing an organization and developing products for television and things in that line. But even as a 20%er in most areas of my life, I always wondered, why was I an 80%er in other categories, in other aspects of my life, like in health, for example. And I mean, Oprah is a great example of that, George, yep. Where Oprah is, I don't know, she's like a miracle worker. You can see her on TV on one day, and 2 weeks later, she's 80 pounds less, right? But at the same time, when she actually joined, I think it was, I want to say it was Weight Watchers, but it was probably Isagenix. But it's, you know, the 20%er in her went out and bought all kinds of stock prior to, you know, Weight Watchers announcing that she was part of the team. And the 80% of her obviously is the physical aspect. And when I started looking at it, and I go, why aren't I motivated? Why can't I take the same charts and graphs and goal setting systems that I've set up? Why aren't they working in one area for my life, whereas they're working in other areas of my life? And I think it comes down to the three-legged stool that we talk about, George.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're literally wired differently in that one area of your life. And yeah.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm very fascinated by all this, especially the marshmallow test. You know, is it hereditary? Is it genetics? Is it environment? You know, what is that? Because I would say my husband and I are both 20%ers. And I sat my kids down who are 6, 8, and 11, and I did the marshmallow test. And one put a cup over it, so he didn't have to look at it, the youngest. The middle one stacked all kinds of stuff on it so that he wouldn't even know that it's there. And then my third one left it out plain and open. But what I didn't realize is when I walked away, I was trying to film them and take pictures and listen without them knowing I was there. But when I walked away, the oldest one actually stole part of my middle one's marshmallow. And he did it so slyly that no one really even knew what happened. So we're trying to figure that out. But, you know, looking at the tests in that regards, they all look like they're going to be 20%ers. They all left the marshmallow. But I'm like, what do I do with the thief? How do I look at that situation? So have we been able to figure out if it's genetics or environment?
I don't know. I don't know. The fact that it is so pervasive, if you think it is genetics, then 20% of the people are probably going to have kids that are in this 20%. I mean, both of Jim's kids are 20%ers. And they followed in his footsteps. And I always asked Jim, I said, what would you have done if one of your kids had been an 80%er?
I'd ask for a paternity test.
So I don't know. The thing is, I'm reading, I've been doing a ton of research on the neurological aspect of this, which is fascinating. I mean, we're entering just this new age of understanding our brains. But there's that part of me that's absolutely interested in that because I love getting down in the weeds, all that kind of stuff, and trying to get a better understanding. The flip side of that is the part of me that says, does it matter? Does it matter how I ended up here? To me, on a personal level, that's less important to me than finding a way out.
Right. Probably as a parent, I'm trying to figure out, you know, are they 80-20 and know how to work with them. But yeah, once you're here, right? And someone even made a comment of that down below in the remarks. And she's like, just being here, I think makes me better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I can't imagine that your kids aren't going to turn out fantastic with you as their role model mother. So,
well, we hope, as you know, someone who teaches personal development, that they don't go the opposite way, right?
Yeah. I would keep an eye on that one little guy, though, the guy that took the marshmallow.
The opportunist, right? The opportunist. All right. So next question. So we have a lot of people, and they're making comments down below. If you're watching those at all, some are definitely 80%ers, and those that are marking that. The 20%ers are being a little bit more quiet. But what I find fascinating is that we all need to be interested in this. And I have people on my team, just like you, Jim, where you and George just couldn't figure each other out. And you go to work and you do this and you get it done. And he has the same ideas, the same information, the same motivation, the same ambition, same everything, but he's just not getting the same success. So as leaders, how is this something that we can work with our teams?
Well, first of all, you have to recognize the fact that you can't treat everybody exactly the same way. I mean, just look at your kids. You think you raise your kids, the same way, right? And when they grow up, they're like, oh my gosh, my kids are so opposite in so many different ways. And I just look at my, when I'm trying to motivate the team, no longer do I try to, find all the aces in the deck. Let me find a couple eights. A pair of eights beats one ace, right? In a game of cards. And it's really interesting, Stephanie, in that I needed the accountability. All right, I had the ability to see the light at the end of the tunnel. All right, I mean, I had that ability from an early age to be able to do that in most things in my life, but not so with weight loss. And weight loss, I'm approaching it entirely different. In fact, I've now hit 331 days out of 365 where I've walked at least 3 miles a day. And yeah, thank you. But the interesting thing I found, it's not enough. I mean, any more than you can't just prospect you just can't. I mean, one of my goals every day is to talk to somebody new every day, talk to one new person every single day about a particular product that I'm marketing. Well, some days that doesn't happen. So I have a fallback where I have to at least reach out to 2 people. And I try to do that as much as I can on an area that I'm an 80%er in, which is social media, which you've really tried to help me with over the years. And George has a great story about your physical fitness, George, because, I mean, you've just done a fantastic job with that.
Well, I mean, and this is the thing. When Jim and I literally with the first conversation we had about this, Jim sent me his form that he uses on a daily basis, and he emailed it to me. And I looked at it as we're having the conversation. I just started laughing.
Yeah, here it is, right here.
Yeah. I mean, it's got 107 moving parts and colors and graphs and all this stuff, and it's weighted activities and rewards. And I told him, I said, Jim, you send that to me, and I tell you exactly what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to do nothing because it's overwhelming to me. It's too much. And if I did the one important thing of the day, then I've got all the other empty space, and I'm going to come away feeling like I failed because I didn't fill up the whole space. And so that kind of goes into what we're talking about here, the process that we're going to change our lives. And it is this neuroplasticity. It's fascinating that we're literally, we're not talking about changing habits. We're literally talking about changing the way our brains are wired. And every time you repeat an activity, you build this neural pathway. You have this idea and this action. And every time you repeat that, you strengthen that neural pathway until it's a neural superhighway. And neurologists say nerves that fire together, wire together. And they literally can see the changes in your brain that you do this. So the thing was, when Jim was trying to help me, or Jim would have tried to help me if I'd worked with him, he would have deluged me with all these things that I had to do. You can't rewire a brain with 27 different things. You have to start very simple and very precise. So I decided I was going to work out. Like Jim, we both picked physical actions because we both needed to do that. I've never worked out consistently. And so using the technique that we're going to talk about in just a second, I went from almost never working out to working out every single day for 45 minutes to an hour for 531 consecutive days, until finally the flu put me in bed at one point. But I've never achieved that kind of consistency in my entire life. And I tell you that not so you'd be impressed with me. I'm telling you that because this is possible for someone who's been unbelievably, incorrigibly inconsistent to go from inconsistent to consistent to constant. That's what we're talking about. So the way that I did this, and it's funny, you mentioned I was a comedian. I did 10 years of stand-up, and then I did 20 years as a professional speaker. And I came across an interview with Jerry Seinfeld. And I knew Jerry from way back in the day. And I was reading the interview, and a young comic asked him, he said, how did you become Jerry Seinfeld? And he said, well, first of all, that's not the goal. He said, the goal for me was never the house on Long Island, the mansion and the jets and the cars. He said, my goal was very, very simple. My goal was to be a better comedian, a better comic. And that's the kind of goal that I'm talking about. It's a very linear, very, very precise goal. And then he picked an activity in the world of activities, there's 80-20s too. There's some activities that are 20% of your time, but generate 80% of your results. And he picked one of those. He said, I'm going to write jokes every single day. So he's very, very specific, and it's very binary. He either did it or he didn't do it. He could look at it. It was very, very clear. And so he wrote jokes the first day. He had a calendar, and he made an X on the calendar. And the next day, he wrote jokes, and he made an X on the calendar. Now, most of us would see 2 X's on the calendar. The genius of Jerry Seinfeld was he saw 2 links of a chain. Day 3, he had 1 goal, very, very specific, very linear, very well defined. His goal is simply this, and this applies to anything that you want to get control over in your life. Day 3, here's your main thought for day 3. Don't break the chain. And it is that simple. And there is no, and the beautiful thing is, this is the only day that I have to win. Just today. This is the only day that I have to win. If someone asked me, are you going to work out tomorrow? I would say no. No, I'm not going to work out tomorrow, because nobody in the history of time has ever worked out tomorrow. You can't work out tomorrow. You can only work out today. Now, the next day I would wake up in the morning and I have 1 goal. Don't break the chain. It is unbelievable. The very simplicity of this, it's unbelievably powerful. Now you get control, and you find that one important thing, like in your company, what Jim's talking about. Talk to 1 person, reach out to 2. It's very, very simple. Did I do that today? Did I talk to 1 person, or did I reach out to 2? It's very, very simple. And it's absolutely life-changing. Instead of focusing on the big goal that we don't really even believe we're going to get anyway, now we're able to just proceed in a direction that's going to take us exactly where we want to go. Jim, tell them the story about the guy that you're working with.
Yeah, I do some coaching with different people, as you know, Stephanie, and I had this one person, and we're talking, and he said that his company just announced a trip, and I said, oh, fantastic, and and I'm thinking, when's the trip? Where, how long is it, and all this? And he said, well, I don't have a chance of winning that trip. And I go, why is that? And he said, well, first of all, he says, I'm new in the business, and just the veterans, just the Brents of the world and the Stephanies of the world, they're the people that are going to win these trips. I'm not going to win this trip. And it reminded me so much of, my trying to lose weight type of thing. And all of a sudden I go, okay, I'm just going to walk 3 miles today. That's all I'm going to do is walk 3 miles today. And I said to him, why don't you just reach out to 1 person every day, just 1 person every single day? And I have him call me. He calls me every day. And I said, did you talk to 1 person today? I don't care about the conversation. I don't care how it went. I don't have any. And he says, well, I do have to tell you, I've been doing that now for 111 days, reaching out just to 1 person. And he says, well, some days people call me back, and I talk to 2 or 3 people, but my only goal is to reach 1. And he takes out his calendar and puts a little victory sign on his calendar. And he is now qualified for 1 trip plus an airline ticket. And here's a guy, most people in our business, they stop before they even start because they don't believe they can attain the goal. And that's how I felt for years, George or Stephanie, with trying to lose weight. Now I've walked 331 days out of 365, and now I'm putting the second element in, which is drinking strawberry isogenics every morning. So with a banana, I hope that helps. But it's just, like I say, persistence will get you there. Consistency will keep you there. I think that's what we're driving at.
So I have found this to be very interesting, and kind of going through my own journey while speaking to you and reading the book and everything, which, by the way, their book is out. We'll talk about that in a second. But I have found that for myself, I can flip-flop even and sometimes I'm an 80%er and sometimes I'm a 20%er. Which, after reading your book and listening to you, it's kind of made a little bit more sense. But the fantastic thing about it is I realized that I know when I'm in the 80%, and then I can just kind of start doing that day-by-day activity of just 1 person, 1 thing, whatever. And then I can flip that around to 20% really fast. especially now understanding this process a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, consistency is like the gateway skill that releases everything else. I mean, once you get a handle on this, all the training now suddenly, people say, well, we bring in this great sales trainer or whatever, and we don't see any results. It's because people aren't doing it. It's not a question of the training. It's a question about whether people are going to do it. And we've ignored trying to help people like me that are naturally inconsistent. We've just told people like me, you just need to be more consistent.
That's like that three-legged stool that I alluded to earlier, George,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, Eric Worre defines success in network marketing as getting a large group of people to do a few simple things on a consistent basis. And we're great at large group of people. We spend a ton of time talking and working on recruiting. A few simple things, that's training. We spend a ton of time on that. And the thing that we've left out is consistency, because we've felt like, and it makes sense in a way, that if we recruit really good people and we train them really well, they're going to be consistent. And the reality is nothing could be further from the truth. And we see it over and over and over again. People that come in and we think they're going to be really good and they're there, and then suddenly they're gone because they never got the consistency part of this.
And it's just magnified even more in the network marketing industry, because it's really not an 80-20 rule. It's probably closer to 95-5, right? And I see people shaking their head, and we all know that's true. And if our book, or if I, as a leader, I can look at that 95% of the people that it doesn't come natural for them, and just help 20% of those 95 people. I mean, look at what it'll do for the individual, the team, the organization, the company. I mean, it's just, we could just blow the numbers away, obviously. So, yeah.
So what are some signs as a leader working with someone brand new? What would be some signs to tell you, are they in the 80% or the 20%, so that you can work with them correctly from the beginning?
Jim, do you want to do that, or?
Well, yeah, boy, that's the toughest thing in the world, right? I mean, you assume everybody that you enroll is just going to be a rock star. I mean, and I've been very fortunate over the years. I had some tremendously big name people in my organization, and that had thousands and thousands of, exposure to thousands of people, and they just didn't get it done for whatever reason. As a leader now, Stephanie, I look at it as everybody is an 80%er. And I just start everybody out doing one task a day. Just do one thing a day. I mean, we all want to, we've all had success stories like the girl you mentioned earlier that brought on 24 people. I mean, that's fantastic that she brought on 24 people. But I'd be happier bringing on one person that does something than 24 that don't, right? And I don't know if there's any easy answer. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But I just know as a leader that I now recognize that, all I have to do is look at myself to realize maybe there's another way to help that particular person.
Well, and the reality is, if you treat everybody as an 80%er, you're going to be right. I don't know. I'm going to say 4 out of 5 times.
About 80%.
Yeah, about 80% is what the number's going to be. You're not going to hurt anybody by getting them to focus on it. And this is kind of the 3-step process we have here. We want you to, decide on the area of your life that you want to work on, which is probably going to, for the most of the people that have taken the time to be on this call, is probably going to be your business. And then define an
activity, right?
Yeah, define an activity that's going to support that. Jim's got a very simple activity that he coaches, which is reach out to 2, talk to 1. It's very, very simple. And anybody could do that. Anybody can talk to 1 person a day, or 2 people that reach out to 2. I mean, it's ludicrously easy. And it's something that even I, who have learned about myself, think that I could do.
So that a 20%er is reaching out to 2, speaking to 1. Great, thank you. What's an 80%er? What's a good pace to put an 80%er on?
I think that is the 80% pace, the reach out to 2, talk to 1. And the reality is, because that to me is achievable. I think I can do that. Me with no success in this business, if I was going to start again, I know I could do that. And then the thing is, if the person is a 20%er, they're not going to be. That's going to be like the minimum daily requirements from the food people. They're going to go past that. They're going to go way behind. You couldn't hold them back.
We did. We were speaking at one national convention, and the leaders got up on the stage and said, "Okay, we're going to do a 100-day blitz." Okay, and 5% of the people were going, yeah. And you just looked at the rest of the 95% and I'm going, no way. I can't even identify 95 people, yet alone do this for, contact 20 people a day. So I just think, you eat an apple piece by piece. And if I had to do all over again, Stephanie, I would just, do something that's attainable, that they can, and reaching out can be simply just messaging somebody private message on Facebook or whatever. And but every single day, I walk around this country club and I walk my 3 miles and I get back and I pat myself on the back. Now, am I where I want to be? No, not at all. But I feel good about myself every single day because I'm taking a step forward. At some point, I'm going to start running it. All right, but that's another day. So.
And that's the next book.
That's the next book.
And that's where the instant gratification comes in, because I'm only focused on today. It's instant. I hit my goal. If my goal is to work out, if my goal is to make a call, if my goal is whatever, I hit that goal. And that's what feeds me, because I feel good about myself. Instead of beating myself up for not being where I want to be, instead I feel fantastic because I won. I mean, I won 2 battles. I won the battle that's taken me further in the direction I want to go. And more importantly, I won the battle over myself. I won this battle. And that degree of the satisfaction that comes from that is gigantic. And it builds momentum, and momentum drives us. I mean, it's just, it absolutely works. The only thing that we caution is start. That's the only problem we've ever seen with people in this whole thing, is just start. I mean, literally start tonight. We've got an app coming out that's going to be out, and the app is kind of fun because if you don't start in the first 24 hours, it goes away. I mean,
One thing that you guys talked about in the book, and you mentioned it earlier, George, is don't start tomorrow. Start today. Can you just go into that just a little bit, because that's a new concept for most people, and the way you wrote about it in the book, it really truly makes a lot of sense.
Well, tomorrow doesn't exist. I mean, literally, no one in the history of time has ever done anything tomorrow. We got 31 people on this call. Here's my challenge. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. And when I count to 3, here's what I want you to do. Do something tomorrow. Anybody? Smart people, sharp people, bright people. And I'm guaranteeing nobody did anything because it's not possible. And the beauty of that is, if I'm not worried about tomorrow and I'm only focused on winning today, then all the pressure's off me. It isn't like I'm trying to get the trip or the car or whatever. That's all great stuff. But what I want to do is I just want to win today. And if I win today long enough, then I win all my tomorrows. I mean, the reason why I never had a goal to work out for 531 straight days. Never. If I had had that goal, I would have never started, or I would have quit early. My goal was just to work out today. And if you work out today long enough, then it adds up to 531.
What percentage of people, George, you think that they don't start today will never start?
80%.
There you go.
You've got to start. That's what we see, because we've been back to a couple groups, and the people that have been challenged with this that have not done it, they didn't do it. They didn't just start. I mean, once you literally, I think by the time you get to day 3, you're hooked. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to have things, but man.
And I would challenge those 20%ers out there. And everybody probably on the call has an area, even in sales or in your career, that you're an 80%er in. Pick one activity. Just pick one activity that you're 80% in. You know, the one that's gnawing at you, and the one that you just know you're not as good as you should be in that. And just do that just one time today. And not 15, not 20, just one time today. And you'll have a tendency, because I did when I first started, I had 7 or 8 chains going on because I was a 20%er. And and I now have it down to 2, George. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, one in health and one in business, but it's but just start. You have to start. And
So can I ask George a question on that? Because as a 20%er, if you challenge me to do something today,
Yeah.
or even tomorrow, I would do it, right? But how does an 80%er, if I challenge you to reach out to one person tonight before you go to bed, how do you feel?
How do I mean, I think most people, 80%ers, if you make it a small enough price of entry for me, something that I really believe I can do, because what you're saying is, George, send a text to somebody saying, hey, we need to talk. I got something cool. Just send that text to somebody. Just pick somebody and send that text. I'm totally doing that because I can do that. And after I press that button,
pat yourself on the back.
I won. I mean, when I recalibrate what victory is for me, now suddenly victory is attainable and I can believe in it. And because I can believe in it, I'm going to do it.
I'm actually kind of looking at this as the delivery as well. I'm going to challenge you to reach out to one person tonight versus the way you said it, George, of, hey, just reach out to one person tonight. Just text someone.
I mean, we're going over, so I don't know if this is a concern for you. So just let me know if it is, because I'll shut up. But we did a leadership call where a woman was talking about, she was in a previous company. She actually got hooked up with the president of the company. He says, I'm going to work with you for 90 days and we're going to check in every single day. And it just blew her business up. I mean, it was nuts. And so she became a superstar in network marketing. She turned around, made the same offer to an entire audience of people, said, I will work with anyone that wants to do it. I will work with you for 90 days. We will turn your life around. You know how many people took her up on it out of 200 people? Zero. It was too much. If you ask me to do something for 90 days, I'm out. I can't do it. I don't believe it. And I'm not going to embarrass myself and feel the shame of making you a promise that I can't keep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do nothing. And she said, well, what would you do instead? I said, here's what I would do. I would select people and I would say, listen, let's do something just for today. Do something for me. Would you do something for yourself? Reach out to a person, just one. And after you do it, call me and tell me how it felt. And then when they call me and tell me how it felt, I said, I tell you what, would you be willing to do this? Would you be willing to take one more step with me? Would you do that tomorrow? Just one person. After you do it, give me a call. That's the way you'll get me to do it for 90 days. If you tell me I got to do 90 days up front, I'm out. It's too much. It's too big. And I know based on my history of being inconsistent, I ain't going to be there. And because of that, the shame is going to keep me from saying, yeah, I'll do it.
All very interesting and definitely something to think about, because we do a lot of challenges and one is a 90-day challenge. And
we all do.
We know by the time we get to 60 days, most of them are gone by that time.
Yeah.
And we'll have a few left to maybe hang out towards the end. I want to thank you guys so much for being here tonight and sharing this. I know that, this is a mission of yours to help people and change the world and change our thinking of just being able to talk to each other differently and work with each other and understand each other in a way that we can all just do one thing and one thing today. One thing today. I mean, as soon as I read that in your book, Jim, I was going to do something tomorrow. And I'm like, well, I got to do it today.
Right. Absolutely.
Jim told me I had to do it today. So
Stephanie, thank you and Brent for having us on the call.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. So if I can do just a little shameless promoting for you, that's the new book.
There's the new book.
Consistency is the New Currency. And it's $12.95 on Amazon. Just came out, today or something like
2
this?
days ago. And there's a Kindle version on there also.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. And then you're going to be coming out with an app. You also have a website, theconsistencychain.com, where we can continuously learn more.
Yeah. We're in day 173 of a 90-day build on that site.
Okay. Oh, it's 90 days. It's that magic number.
Yeah.
Our website should be up it should be up in the next 48 hours. The one that they promised us 48 days ago. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I know that as a team, we have a couple announcements to make, but Brent, is it okay if we open it up just to see if anyone has any questions? they've been talking a lot. I don't know if you've been watching the chats that are going on, but there's been a lot of chatter.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. And seriously, guys, that's really good. And, especially for 20 percenters, or at least people that like to think about themselves that way, the thought process that you're giving as far as like saying, give them one small thing to do and then go back again and again and again, I get that, right? I can wrap my head around that. I hope there's several other leaders that I know that are on here that I hope that they're listening to that same mindset, because I think that is a big, big opportunity that quite honestly I've missed. So if I got nothing else from the call, I think that concept of giving those one small steps, even though we hear it all the time, right? One slice, how to eat an elephant, right? But that whole thing kind of gets missed when you're doing other things other than eating an elephant, right? So no, that's good stuff. I like it.
And you can imagine if we can help 8 out of 10 people that we sponsor, and just 20% of those people, Brett, if we can just help those people, what it would do for them, your team, the company. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. It's 20% is this hard thing to grasp for us. When George and I are on stage, I mean, 85, 90% of the people come up to George because they can relate to George. And the other people, the leaders are sitting there going, really? This is how they think? This is really how I need to approach them? And what a growth experience has been for me as standing there and watching that happen. So.
Yeah. Anybody have a comment or a question? Anybody else want to jump in here and make any comments? Come on, this is your chance. Kelly D, what do you got? I know Kelly's got something. She likes to talk.
I'm a 20%er when it comes to talking.
That's right.
It was just such a phenomenal call, and I'm definitely one who does not like to break the chain, and I already have charts like this, and that's definitely how I operate. I do not like to break the chain, but I had no idea that was even a thing, and I'm super, super excited to read your guys' book.
Well, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Stephanie, it might be a nice thing to do it somewhere down the road after you've some people have read the book, to get back together and do it again sometime, just to follow up that way.
Just to see where we're at and see if we ate the marshmallow or left it be.
Yeah.
We would love if people actually embrace this and it makes some changes. Man, let us know your stories. I mean, we're putting people on the website right now, some amazing stories, and so we would love to hear from you and see what effects we can help.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, guys, and we'll definitely do that. We'll promote that out there and show people how to make those comments. I can't do the marshmallow test at my house. I've only got one kid, and if he screws it up, I'm really going to be disappointed. So I'm kind of out on even doing the marshmallow test.
Get your nephews, get all of the cousins together.
Right. So,
and the ones that don't eat it,
that doesn't work, because what if my kid is the one that eats the marshmallow or steals the marshmallow? Because I know he'll
know.
The ones that don't eat it, you enroll them.
Yeah, right. I know, seriously.
Hey, thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for everything. We did record this, so we'll send that out and hopefully share this with a lot more people.
Great.
Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, guys. So, Stephanie, thanks for making that happen. Very cool. And if you want to post in the pages how to get their book and all that kind of stuff, feel free to post it around so everybody knows how to access them, their book, their website, everything else. That'd be fantastic. And we'll make sure that it stays at the top of the page for a while to make sure that becomes part of it. We can also put that as part of the High Five program, so we can offer that book up as part of the High Five program for people that do 5 enrollments. But then the people that do 5 enrollments, right, they got to be 20%ers, right? So that it's the quandary, right? It's the quandary.
Right.
So with that, guys, we're right at our time, but I wanted to touch on a couple things. Again, for those of you that weren't on before, Wisconsin, November 3rd, Racine, Wisconsin, November 3rd, there is the Super Saturday that's going to happen there. And the bar is coming out. So I'm going to give you guys your one thing to do, okay? Your one thing to do tonight. Before you go to bed tonight, I want you to make a post on your personal page. This is all you got to do. Make a post on your personal page. All you have to say is that there's something about the new bar. Steal the post off of my page, steal the post off of whatever, I don't care. But talk about the fact that this new bar is coming out and offer people a chance to guess what it is. You're trying to guess something, whatever, however you want to do it. Obviously on mine, I said, the person, if we get somebody that actually guesses it right, I'm going to give them a box of the bars. Here's the good news. We've had probably 600 people comment in some way. Nobody has guessed it. So if you can probably even put it on your page that, hey, if you guess it, you're going to get a box of bars, and you still aren't going to have to pay it out because nobody's going to guess it. So like I say, steal the post, do whatever, but put it on there and engage in every comment, okay? Super important. When you're dealing with Facebook and you're dealing with algorithms, if somebody comments on what it is, you need to respond to each individual comment. I know it's a little time consuming. It's been a lot time consuming, but in the algorithm world, that helps with your algorithms. And here's one for you. If you respond with an emoji, that's better in the algorithm world. So if you respond to each comment and you include some sort of an emoji in your comment, that's going to be a bonus in the way that Facebook looks at it and the more people that are going to get to see your post and everything else. So make sure that you're responding to each comment that somebody makes about the bar post. And, even if it's something like, oh, that's a great guess, but sorry, a little something, whatever. But just make sure that you're doing that on each post. That's a big, big deal. All right. Outside of the bar, outside of Wisconsin, Super Saturday, I'm not thinking of anything else that's coming up. Stephanie, was there anything on the call that you wanted to put out? Because I know you were on the 3-star call earlier.
Yeah. Well, we have the boot camp Sunday at Jill's gym. Is that 2 p.m.?
Yeah, they have to register for that. And I think there was a limited number of spots. So I'm not sure how many spots were available or how many spots are available. But I will ask Jill what the availability is and see if there's even spots still available. But yeah.
Okay, great.
Make sure.
And then Super Saturday, of course, here in Phoenix is coming up October 27th. I know they're selling tickets for that. There is a challenge for everyone to purchase your ticket plus 3 and bring 3 guests. It is going to be a business building event. I think there's an opportunity meeting from 10 to 11, but you really truly want to bring your business builders. And this was done because we don't have an ICU in Phoenix. So for those of you that are here in the Phoenix area, really truly understand the importance of this event. We don't have anything between now and NYKO, which of course is in Phoenix, yay. So leaders got together to make this event happen and to provide this for us. So it's a really super special event, just like the one that Brent and Tracy and April are doing in Wisconsin. These are really big events that people are putting on because there's nothing else there. So they're events being put on for us to attend and enjoy, but more importantly, to bring guests to so that we can really grow. And, if George will tell you, just invite one today, invite one tomorrow, invite one the next day, but maybe buy your 3 tickets today.
Speaking of tickets, Stephanie, NYKO tickets. You guys make sure that you purchase your NYKO tickets because every single month we are going to do a draw. We just did a drawing today. So we'll do a drawing again the first week of November. And if you've purchased your NYKO ticket, you don't have to fill anything out. I can see every single person that's purchased an NYKO ticket. So if you've purchased it, your name's going to go in the drawing, and we're going to do a drawing the first week of the month of November. We're going to do a drawing the first week of the month of December, and a drawing the first week of the month of January. Every single person that's in it, doesn't matter when you entered, but the sooner you get in, then you'll be in for all the drawings, okay? So we're going to do a drawing, and that drawing, if your name gets drawn, your ticket's going to be reimbursed at Celebration, or not at Celebration, at NYKO. So make sure that if you haven't purchased an NYKO ticket, buy it sooner than later because that way you'll be in more drawings. Okay.
Yeah, and also the company's really pushing to sell out and sell out fast. Kathy really wanted to sell out last week. So there's a lot of pushes. So we really truly have to make these decisions and get that ticket and get it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you don't buy it and you end up having to do some sort of a swap with somebody or something like that, Obviously, you're going to do the swap, whatever, but you can't be in the drawings because you didn't buy the ticket. So just making sure you guys are aware of that. Okay.
Hey, Brent.
Yes.
Michigan folks have a couple events this weekend. Can I talk about them? Is there anyone left on here?
Yeah, if they're Michigan, put them out.
Friday night we'll be in Livonia for Big Sip and Sample and Healthy Happy Hour, and then Saturday we'll have some training, same area, Livonia. And then I don't know if Gilmore's are on, but I know Doug is putting together an event in Grand Rapids on October 20th.
That's awesome.
And then there's even something on Sunday in Lake Fenton, Michigan. We have stuff all weekend, so anybody in Michigan, just connect with myself or Doug or Dan Ferguson, I guess, for Sunday.
Excellent. And Denver has an event on Saturday as well with Lisa Day Mayo and Daniel Thompson and I think it's Laura Stevens.
Okay, cool.
Events everywhere, guys.
These events, will continue to post these in different pages, but just be aware. I mean, if you know somebody in Michigan, if you know somebody in Wisconsin, if you know somebody in Chicago that's willing to drive up there, whatever, or here, if we put them on here in Arizona, just make sure that you're providing this information to your teams. If you don't let them know, there's no way for them to engage in it. Okay, so everybody make your post at 7:00. So make your post tonight, get them out there, get them posted, talk about the bar, get the chatter up, and then let's have a fantastic Thursday with lots of new orders and stuff going on Thursday. For those of you that are on here, there's not too many left, so I'm gonna take a screenshot. For those of you that stay for the entire call, I've got a free enrollment code for you if the person that you sign up with does the ISA delivery. Okay, so basically what that happens, and I want you guys to understand this, if you do the ISA delivery, if somebody signs up and does the ISA delivery is $59. Okay, so if I'm talking to Stephanie and I'm saying, hey Stephanie, your purchase of your value pack is going to be about $600, and she says, fantastic, I'm good with that, I understand it. Then I'm going to apply the $30 coupon. That's going to remove $30. I'm going to purchase for her the ISA delivery. That's going to add 59, right? 59 minus 30, that's 29. And the shipping for her pack is probably around $25. So for $4, she got 6 months worth of free shipping. Okay? $4, she got 6 months worth of free shipping. Same price she planned on spending, nothing changed. But if you guys are talking to somebody and you're trying to enroll them and you at least please give them the option. You want $30 off today? Here's your 80-20 people, right? You want $30 off today, or do you want to save a few $100s in shipping over the course of the next 6 months, right? You going to eat the marshmallow now, or are you going to save something for later? Point is, you've got to make sure that people are aware of that. And free shipping is over for those, if you do not have it yet, free shipping is over at the end of this month. You cannot buy it. It'll be good for 6 months, but you cannot buy it if you haven't purchased it by the end of the month, okay? Cool beans. All right. That offer for the free enrollment code is good through Sunday. So send me a message if you get an enrollment. You have to, here's the thing though, you've got to have the enrollment. You've got to give me the name, because I'm going to make sure that they got the ISA, that they got the ISA delivery. Okay. I'm going to verify that when you send the information over. Okay. Cool beans. Thanks again, Stephanie, for making that happen. That was a good call.
You're welcome. Thank you guys all for being here tonight. I appreciate your time with that.
Okay. Have a great night, everybody. Hey, Bob, my dog's still asleep.
Yeah, but the puppy really